Greetings and welcome to Industry Insights. I'm Vijaya Marisetty, a visiting faculty here at the Indian School of Business, focusing on finance, blockchain, fintech, analytics, and citizen science. With me in the studio today is Anuj Tyagi, Joint Managing Director of HDFC ERGO, a humanitarian and a professional known to bring out extraordinary results out of ordinary circumstances. Anuj is credited with shaping HDFC ERGO's growth for the last decade and a half across distribution, branding, and partner engagement. Welcome, Anuj.
Thank you, Professor.
You've been a leader in the insurance industry for over 2 decades now. Tell us about your journey so far, how you have seen the organization and the industry shape up over the years.
Thank you. First of all, Professor, thank you very much for that lovely introduction. And I'm happy to be at ISB, an institution which is contributing so much to the nation building.
It's a pleasure to have.
Likewise. So my journey has been a very simple journey, right? I've generally taken things in life as they come. So I started, I'm a part banker, part insurance. So started early years of my life, I spent in one of the largest financial institutions in the country. I was in the project financing, project lending. And those were the days when not much in the economy was happening. So, as a youngster, you get disillusioned to say, there isn't much happening in the large long-term project lending space. And that is when insurance as a sector got opened up. So that's when privatization of insurance happened in early 2000. And the entrepreneurial bug has also bitten, right? And that's when to some of us, the opportunity came that you could work with practically a startup and get paid. Right. So that's how I entered into insurance. When I look back, and thank you for giving me a chance to reminisce the entire insurance journey. When I look back, I think it's been a very satisfying journey for me. I've seen the industry growing from practically a very small contributor to the GDP to it is still lower as compared to the international, some of the other large countries, but from a practically very small contributor to close to 1% of the GDP is the GI industry now. I only represent general insurance industry. From a stage where there were a handful of companies to a stage where now we have, 33 companies in the general insurance space. From a stage where the product bouquet was very limited.
Right.
To a stage where we practically touch the human lives on a daily basis, right? So whether it's the farming community, student communities, hospitalization, assets, everything today, there are products that we have. From a stage where the industry is very regulated, and today we have the regulator who's actually looking at, how do you develop this industry to the next level. Mr. Panda, who's the regulator chairman, he keeps talking about, or he has a vision, he set out a vision for all of us to take insurance to every household of the country by 2047, by the 100th year of independence. Yeah. So that's the industry I represent, that's the industry I work for, and I'm absolutely proud to be an insurer because I always say that it is an insurer who can bring a huge financial stability in the lives of a human being, in our families, when an untoward situation comes. So that has been my small journey in insurance.
Wonderful. And I also consider that insurance is one of the most important part of financial inclusion.
It is.
So every organization today needs to be digitally enabled if they are to be future ready. How do you define futuristic organization?
So it's a very interesting question, Professor. And if you allow me, I'll step beyond the digital part because digital is, digital, bringing in the digital technology is a tool, is one of the tools. You can't be a futuristic organization if you just think of digital, right? So for me, the futuristic organizations have a very different DNA. On one hand, you have to manage the now.
Right.
You have to deliver the stakeholder value operating in the environment than you are. And at the same time, you have to have the capability. You have to have the capability to visualize future. You have to have a lens which also tells you how future is going to look like. And the two DNAs, so the organization needs to have two different DNAs absolutely intertwined. So in my own assessment, the future organizations or futuristic organization will have some of these traits. The first that comes to my mind is that futuristic organization or future organizations will exist for a purpose. Let me rephrase. They will know what is the purpose of their existence in business. Is my purpose selling insurance and giving claims and create stakeholder value? Or is my purpose to ensure that no citizen of this country ever faces a financial bankruptcy in the event of an untoward incident?
So greater purpose.
It's a greater purpose. So most futuristic organizations or the organizations which will be relevant today, tomorrow, and 50 years down the line would have realized the larger purpose of their existence in business. So that for me is the one. Because the moment you identify the purpose, everything starts falling in place.
True.
And of course, more than identifying purpose, equally important is to also disseminate that purpose to the large organization.
True.
I have 11,000 people today in the organization. Everybody needs to know what is my purpose. So that's for me is the first indication or the first peculiar trait of. The second is future organizations for me are the organizations who will work for mind share and market share becomes incidental. Right? Let me elaborate on this. Most future organizations will work to, generate that want in their customer's mind and service the want instead of servicing the need. If you service the need, customer knows what he or she needs.
True.
If you're servicing the needs, you're servicing today. As Steve Jobs said, it is not the customer's responsibility to know the want, to know what they want.
Right.
It is my responsibility to tell you what is want.
True.
Right?
True.
You wanted a shoe. You needed a shoe. Right? You never wanted a shoe which also transmits direct data to your phone so that you can know how much calories you have burned, how much mileage have you done, and so on and so forth. So you've suddenly created that want. And when you have the capability to generate want and capability to service the want, you become a futuristic company.
True.
Third, for me, is most futuristic organizations will obviously you will find them early starters, early leaders in uptake of modern technology. And that's where your digitization part comes in. Are you using technology to service your now? Or do you have the resources, understanding, and capability to inculcate the technology in your system so that you could create products, services, capabilities for future, right? Blockchain, your favorite topic. Do I wait and see for the used cases and then adopt blockchain, or do I create used cases? Artificial intelligence. Today in HDFC ERGO, we use artificial intelligence in motor claims, in customer, in automobile inspections, and so on and so forth. Now, do we wait for? I remember anecdotally when we first started working on our AI usage of AI in our motor claims, we were told that even in we have a shareholder who's a German. And as per them, in Europe also, there were no successful use cases of artificial intelligence in motor insurance. And we say, yeah, okay, we'll try. Right? Now, today it has become a scaled up environment. We are using artificial intelligence in our motor claim. So do you wait for the technology to become a use case, or do you create use cases out of it?
Right.
So that for me is future organization. And in the end, while just to sum it up, all these, and there could be, people will have their different takes on it. But for me, what also comes on top of it or what surrounds it also at the same time is that do what you do.
Right.
But you can't deviate from your core values. Ultimately, you have to have your human values intact. You need to know what are your values which personify you as an organization.
Right.
So yeah, that for me is a future organization.
That's a great insight, especially purpose and connecting with value. And this purpose has to be greater good for it to be more futuristic. At the same time, ensuring that align that digital or technological innovations along on the same lines. But my question now is, you have purpose, and being the head of your division, so you know exactly what the purpose is. How do you translate this purpose in terms of execution? So what are the steps you take?
So First of all, I think the leader in the organization needs to eat, breathe, and sleep the purpose.
Right.
Having identified the purpose, as I again say, is my purpose to sell insurance, service the customers? Yeah, we've been beautifully doing it. The insurance industry has been doing it. But is my purpose to ensure that financial stability in the families, right? So having identified the purpose, assuming you've identified the larger purpose of your existence,
Right.
The leader has to eat, breathe, and sleep.
Right.
You can't undermine the aspect that communication, whether it's now or whether it's 100 years down the line, communication will still hold the key. Communicate, communicate, communicate. People need to know, larger set of, employee family need to know what do you stand for. So obviously you need to disseminate it through various mediums. The leaders need to walk the talk.
Right.
In every conversation, you have to display, and because what we don't realize, Professor, often in the corporate world is that if you are, when you're leaders, when you're, seniors, every action of ours is observed and judged.
True.
Right. So I can't be only sitting and saying my purpose is to ensure financial protection to the citizen, financial stability to the citizens. You have to also, then your deeds also has to speak about it. Are your products designed to better suited all cohorts of the population? Are your processes designed to make the journeys, buying journey, servicing journey easy for the customers? Do you communicate with the customers outside of your transactions?
Right.
Or are you only doing transactions? So I think communicating the purpose, eating, breathing, and sleeping, cliche, but living the purpose day in and day out for leaders becomes extremely important.
True.
Especially in the industry where most of the industries today are struggling with the churn, the attrition. So when you have the attrition, when you have the new crop of people coming, and as such the organizations grow, it's extremely important to also have an institutionalized process such that everybody who's coming new to the system on day one, don't tell them how to sell.
Right.
Tell them your values.
Right.
And tell them your purpose of existence.
Right.
And
That's
I think
excellent.
things start falling in place.
Excellent. So the second dimension you discussed in terms of futuristic organization is technology interventions. Now, technology needs investment. So how do you balance between investing in technology and making sure the stakeholders are happy with your investments?
It's always a challenge.
Yeah.
Because anything which is investment, anything where you have to spend money, resources are always limited, right? You need to have, so there'll be various phases of technology investment in the organization, and let me try and kind of build it, seeing through the lens that we've seen in the organization. So we have, by the way, what we are currently going through is HDFC ERGO 3.0. Mm-hmm. Now, HDFC ERGO 3.0 is all about, keeping your eyes on the futuristic ball. So 1.0 was using technology to manage scale.
Right.
Because we grew very fast. So we were using technology in the initial phase. As long as we can service the policies, we can issue the policy, we can service the claims, we're happy, use technology.
Right.
So go to the stakeholders, invest, we have to service. Second phase was using technology to bring in efficiencies in your process.
Right.
Now, the moment you think of efficiencies in process, the ROI on your investment starts coming in. Also equally important is when I create efficiencies in my process, I also create value for my customers. Customers are also my, part of my stakeholder ecosystem. So on one hand, you go to your shareholders and you're bringing in efficiency, so the ROI comes from there, and customer is happy. Customer is looking at you through a different lens. In the previous times, maybe the customers were happy if they get their health claim in days from an insurance company. Today, our average cashless turnaround time is 32-33 minutes. And I'm saying, why should it be 32-33 minutes? Why should my customer wait even for a minute in the event of an hospitalization?
Right.
So we are working today now in the direction that why should there be a wait time for a customer if there is. So you're using technology to create efficiencies, which justifies your ROI, and the customer is happy. Then comes the 3.0, where the big conviction part, the big convincing exercise is needed, where you are investing in technology to prepare yourself for future. Usage of artificial intelligence. Now, as I said, there were no used cases. So when first time we went and said we will use AI, and you have to spend money in this. create resources, train people, and so on and so forth. So when you say you use AI, we've at least been fortunate to have shareholders who've never objected to investment in technology for the right reasons, as long as you could convince them. So my larger sense is we wanted to create an ecosystem, and if chance comes, we'll talk about it. All about, as I said, how do you acquire mind share? So, and the insurance companies, it's not very easy for an insurance company to acquire mind share because our frequency of interaction with the users is very low.
Right.
You will only buy policy once and renew it next year. Not everybody gets a claim. So I'm not in your evoke set. I'm not in the top of your mind.
Right.
So acquiring mind share for an insurance company is a challenge. So we wanted to create, or we have created country's first insurance-led ecosystem. It's called HERE, H-E-R-E. So when we wanted to invest in HERE, it was slightly, it took a while to convince all the stakeholders that HERE is futuristic. HERE sets the organization on the right pitch to play that long haul game, to play that test match.
Right. Right.
And by the way, I again come back, unless everything you do in the end attaches to your purpose,
True.
your investments will always be questioned. When everything gets attached to your purpose, you will have a very convincing story for all the investments. So we've at least not faced problem, and that's my assessment of this whole balance between technology investment and managing the
So you have to connect your technology innovations with process and product innovations.
Absolutely, and the ultimate value to the user.
To the user. That has to be communicated.
Absolutely.
So apart from technological innovations that leads to penetration, what are the steps you take for market penetration?
Oh, that's a very interesting question, Professor, you asked, because we, as I said, the general insurance penetration in the country is still low. And it's a pity that, it is a product, it's an industry which actually brings whole financial stabilities to the family in the event of an eventuality. We are at 1%, close to 1% of the GDP, which is
Right.
far lower than some of the international economies. So there has been a very concentrated effort by the insurance companies over these years to increase the penetration of insurance, whether it's the new product developments, whether it's easing your processes, bringing in more transparency, and so on and so forth. The distribution still remains a challenge, because how do you go to all these gram panchayats of the country and distribute a product?
Right.
The simplification of products, product wordings is still something which, in my opinion, needs more work. So the regulator, our chairman, has given this vision to ensure that every citizen of the country is insured by 2047. And he's actually not proposed, he's laid a very interesting structure. So there's a trinity of, in my opinion, that could be, once it's completed, it could become the UPI of insurance. So there's a trinity of Bima Vahak, Bima Vistar, and Bima Sugam. Mm-hmm. Right? So Vahak is the carrier, Vistar is the product, and Sugam is the platform.
I see.
Sugam there's some work which is yet to be done, but Vahak and Vistar are kind of in place and ready to roll out. So the whole idea is that every gram panchayat will have one insurance Vahak, and ideally the Vahak will be a woman. Mm-hmm. So you have a local person who you and I can relate to, my next door neighbor, who is giving and who's telling me about insurance and giving me insurance products. Then comes Vistar, very simplified, comprehensive product, which has life, PA, property, and health covered into one, affordably priced. That comes, and as I said, Sugam is a marketplace for insurance company where everybody, imagine this is the Amazon of insurance, where everybody, the buyer, seller, servicing, everybody can come on the platform and do it. So that becomes, this trinity, in my opinion, will go a long way in addressing the penetration insurance penetration in the country. The other thing which has been done, which is already in practice, is that all the states in the country have been divided, have been allocated to one general insurance company and one life insurance company as a lead insurer.
Right.
Like we are working in Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. Now, I as a lead insurer work in these states, and since it's my responsibility to ensure that there's more awareness, there's more visibility, there's more penetration, the insurance companies are putting in a lot of efforts to ensure that those states see penetration. So likewise, every other company is working in.
Right.
In addition to this, so that is something, so there's a very conducive environment which gets created. So regulator is looking at the developmental part of insurance now with great focus. We ourselves have been, as I said, we are now a large company. We operate in close to 75% of the country's districts. Mm-hmm. So we have the physical footprints through our HDFC Bank branches. We could technically be in 6,000 plus. I don't even know what is the exact branch number because HDFC Bank opens its branches on an hourly basis.
Right.
So we have access points there. We also have long back toyed this with this idea of creating digital offices, which now is a full-fledged business vertical for us.
Right.
So these are one-man offices, no physical infrastructure, fully wired. They have all digital capabilities to service the customers in the areas where they. So this started giving local employment to people.
Right.
So we have a large number of digital offices now. So we've been working on all these fronts to ensure that the penetration of insurance goes up.
Right.
And hopefully in the times to come, we will see the perfect example of how insurance can bring in financial predictability is crop insurance and health insurance.
Right.
Imagine these families who got 24,000 crore worth of claims from insurance. Imagine a scenario if these families did not have insurance. Look at and the whole debt trap that comes. I personally have seen families where they did not have insurance and COVID claims were huge. I've seen them selling their jewels.
Yeah.
Jewelry, right?
Or going to loan apps.
Right. So insurance, and at the same time, you have people who had insurance where the money was paid by the insurance companies, right? So imagine the scenario. So the whole financial predictability or saving the families from becoming financially bankrupt, insurance is a very strong tool. It's a research data, and Professor, you would have certainly seen it, that 50% plus financial bankruptcies in developed countries happen because of lack of insurance.
True.
In the event of a medical emergency, in spite of these countries having a big social security.
Yeah.
The other example is crop insurance today.
Yeah.
If the crop fails, within days the farmers get money and they're ready for the next sowing cycle. So yes, you're absolutely right that the financial inclusion is not completed unless the insurance inclusion comes, unless insurance becomes all permeable, all pervasive, and everybody has insurance. My own coined terminology of the insurance situation was SAD, which is so it's simplicity, affordability, distribution.
I see.
And later on, when I was talking to my father, a C also got added to it, which is the whole credibility. So it became SAD C. Simple products, affordable products, distribution might, and credibility. Now, unless you address these four, the insurance will not reach to the nook and corner as we all want.
True.
Thankfully, now this SAD C, I coined it, 8-9 years back.
Right.
I actually want to remove all these alphabets now because there is a huge work going on each one of these aspects, and we did talk about it. So the insurance companies are coming out with simpler products. Still not as simple as, ought to be, but there's a work which is going on, and very soon we'll have products which are more simple. Products have become affordable. I told you, in my opinion, we're the only company today in the country which is selling health insurance on installments. And these are interest-free installments, mind you. Just divide the premium by the frequency that you want. Divide the premium by 12 and pay me. No interest charged. And that's an inherent part of the product. So products have become affordable. 1,000 rupee policy for me is expensive, but 1,000 divided by 12 for me is inexpensive or perceived. Distribution, you have today all the channels, thankfully, which are looking at selling insurance. So distribution has been addressed, and credibility, there's still will have to work. Thankfully, that void has been created. So unless you address these four sad C, the larger objective of ensuring that insurance goes through all the citizens of the country will not be achieved. There is a if I compare it with the times, Professor, when I came into insurance, the awareness levels were abysmally low. Today, at least, people are aware of it.
True.
People are aware of the medical insurance. People are aware of what's happening. Why do they need insurance? So I think there's a lot of work going on here, and we will. But I mean, in whichever form you see, we will have to address SADC.
Right. That's an excellent answer. Now, tell us about your vision of HDFC. Like, how you want the HDFC ERGO to be remembered.
Well, how do I want? Now, that's a difficult one. Oh, actually, it's not that difficult also. I just need to put these thoughts and answer this question. I certainly want HDFC ERGO to be remembered as a company which saw the future much ahead of its competitors. So I certainly want to be relevant for today's customers. I certainly want to be relevant for customers 10 years down the line. I certainly want to be relevant for the customers 50 years down the line.
Right.
And if you see each one of the works that we're doing, I spoke of blockchain, I spoke of artificial intelligence,
right.
I spoke of acquiring mindshare. So I certainly want to be remembered as a company when people look back and say, yeah, okay, this is the company which could see this coming 30 years back. You will see HDFC ERGO living its purpose to the fullest. My purpose is to ensure that no citizen of this country ever goes bankrupt in the event of an eventuality for lack of insurance. You will see HDFC ERGO living its purpose fully.
Best wishes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure having you here and great insights.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
Thanks.
me.